Welcome back to The Architect of Self. I'm your host, Carl. This is where we strip away the noise and get real about what it takes to build yourself, not drift through life, but design it. Before we get into it, I need to be clear. This podcast is not therapy. It's not treatment. It's not a substitute for mental health care. If you need that, seek it out. What I offer here is different. It's about self-leadership. It's about facing yourself head-on. It's about discipline, resilience, and owning the choices that shape you. And today, we're talking about living with intention. Because here's the thing. Most people don't live. They react. They wake up, hit autopilot, and let the day drag them wherever it wants. They bounce from distraction to distraction, from fear to fear, from one crisis to the next, and then wonder why they feel lost. And today, we're talking about living with intention. Because here's the thing. Most people don't live. They react. They wake up, hit autopilot, and let the day drag them wherever it wants. They bounce from one distraction to another distraction, from fear to fear, from one crisis to the next. And then they wonder why they feel lost. But growth doesn't happen by accident. Peace doesn't show up because you wish for it. And purpose doesn't land in your lap while you're scrolling your way through the day. Growth comes when you live with intention. When you stop waiting for clarity to find you and you choose clarity for yourself. That's where we're going today. So before we go further, let me ask you this. Where in your life right now are you just drifting? Where are you on autopilot, letting the current decide your direction instead of steering with intention? Hold that in your mind, because everything we talk about today will circle back to that choice. Here's one from my archives. Things were quiet. Everyone settles into the routine, drifting through what needs to be done. Thinking to yourself about where else you'd rather be, what you'd rather be doing, or what you're going to do when you finally get back home. The kind of shift where autopilot has the wheel. Nothing pressing, nothing urgent, just the motions. Until it wasn't. What seemed like another mindless shift turned sideways in an instant. A call for help. A serious situation. The kind where autopilot can't keep the course. It happens so fast that time itself feels different. It slows down. Sounds change. Sharper. Distant. Distorted. Your body moves, but not in the way it normally does. It's foreign, automatic, almost detached. You're watching yourself, commanding, reacting, adjusting. You don't even feel much in the movement. Maybe the hit, maybe the fall, but it's all just movement. There's no pain attached yet. But deep down, you know it's coming. You know the cost will land later. That's what chaos does. It rips you out of autopilot. And in that moment, intention becomes the only anchor. Now let me ask you something. How much of your life right now feels like that first part of the shift? Just drifting, going through the motions, thinking about where else you'd rather be instead of actually showing up to where you are. And what happens when life snaps sideways? Because it will. Not in the form of what I faced out there. Struggling, wondering if I'd make it through. With home feeling like a distant dream, but in the form of a loss, a conflict, a diagnosis, a disappointment, or the unexpected. In that moment, autopilot won't save you. It never does. Only intentions do. Only the choice to be fully present, fully deliberate, fully awake in your own life. And only if you've prepared yourself to live that way before the crash comes. Living with your intention means you stop leaving your life to chance. You stop letting distraction, reaction, or comfort write your story. Let me make this real. At work, living with no intention might look like this. Instead of checking your phone every 10 minutes, you sit down and decide what actually matters today. You knock that out first. Not that easy email. Not the quick dopamine hit from scrolling. The real thing that moves you forward. That's intention. In relationships, intention is the difference between drifting into distance and choosing connection. It's saying, I'm going to put my phone down and listen. I'm going to actually look at this person and not just hear them, but see them. That one act, that one choice, can shift the whole trajectory of a relationship. With your health, intention is a line between slowly wearing yourself down and staying strong enough to face what life throws at you. It's choosing the workout even when you're tired. It's choosing food that fuels you instead of numbs you. Not because it's easy, but because it aligns with who you're becoming. See the pattern? Intention isn't random. It's deliberate alignment. Every choice is either a vote for the person you want to become or a vote against it. And here's the hard part. Most people keep voting against themselves. They think tomorrow they'll change. But tomorrow is just another autopilot day unless you interrupt it now. So I'll ask you, where in your life are you letting autopilot run the show? Where are you drifting when you should be deciding? Let's take a moment right now. Don't just listen to me talk about intention. Practice it. Think about one area in your life where you've been drifting. Maybe it's your work, doing just enough to get by, coasting on autopilot. Maybe it's your health, always telling yourself you'll start tomorrow. Or maybe it's your relationships, being present physically but absent emotionally. Lock that one area in your mind. Now ask yourself, what would it look like to act with intention here? Not 10 steps from now, not someday, but today. One step, one choice. And here's the challenge. Name it. Right now. What's the one step you can take today to shift from autopilot to intention in that area? Maybe it's making a call you've been avoiding. Maybe it's blocking out 30 minutes for focused work. Maybe it's shutting down the noise and listening to someone you love. Whatever it is, say it in your head. Write it down if you can. Because that's how you build intention. One deliberate step at a time. After the chaos fades, there's always aftermath. You're tired. You're exhausted. Your body wants to shut down. Your mind wants to drift back into autopilot, just to escape, just to go numb. But that's not where growth happens. The habit I built, the intention I choose, was to replay it. Not to torture myself with what went wrong, but to learn. To ask, how do I make this better next time? How do I make it more survivable? Because here's the reality. There will always be a next time. Out there, it was guaranteed. Things will go from 0 to 100 again, without warning. And I learned something in those moments that applies far beyond the field. You don't prepare in the middle of chaos. You prepare before it. You adopt the mindset, the discipline, the intention before the hit comes. That's the same demand life makes of you. It may not be a fire or a wreckage or radios cracking in your ear, but will be loss, the betrayal, the diagnosis, the shift you never saw coming. And the question is, when that moment hits, will you be ready? Or will you be drifting, lost on autopilot, hoping to figure it out in the middle of the storm? That's why intention matters, not just in the extremes, but in the everyday. Because the way you live daily is the way you'll respond when everything snaps. I want you to think about your own life now. Not mine, yours. What's the next time you know is coming? It may not have a date or a time, but can you feel it? Maybe it's a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a pressure point at work. Maybe it's the health scare you've been brushing off. Or maybe it's just the next wave of stress that always seems to roll back around. Pause for a moment and name it. Not in vague terms. Get specific. Now ask yourself, if it hit today, how would you respond? Would you be ready? Intentional, deliberate? Or would you be caught off guard, scrambling and drifting? Here's the final question. What can you put in place now to prepare? What daily choice, what small practice, what intentional step can you take so that when the moment comes, you're not left wishing you had trained for it? You'll be ready to meet it. That's living with intention. Not just reacting when life snaps, but preparing for the moment long before it comes. That's why it's hard for those of us who have lived in that world, the one most people are protected from, to settle back into being around people on autopilot. See, not everyone who's faced those life or death moments stays off autopilot. Some finish their time, they hang it up, and they flip the switch back on. They drift. And for them, maybe that works. But for some of us, there's no going back. There's no autopilot switch to reactivate. We don't give ourselves that option. We don't want to. Because for us, autopilot feels like a slow death. It's choosing not to see, choosing not to feel, choosing not to decide. And when you've lived where seconds matter, where presence decides survival, you can't see that as anything but dangerous. We're not chasing adrenaline anymore. We're not hooked on dopamine dumps. That's not what keeps us awake. What keeps us awake, what keeps us aligned, is intention. Knowing every choice counts. Being aware of every move we make, because that's the only way to stay truly alive. So let me ask you, where are you tempted to flip the switch back to autopilot? Where are you choosing to coast, to drift, to numb out, instead of showing up fully awake? Take a second and be honest with yourself, because no one else can answer that for you. And now ask yourself the harder question. What would it cost you to keep drifting? What relationships? What opportunities? What parts of yourself would you lose if you kept choosing autopilot? Then turn it. What would it give you if you chose intention instead? Not someday, not in a perfect future, but right now. What would living with intention do for your life today? That's your work. That's your challenge. You've heard me talk about drifting. You've heard me talk about what happens when the silence breaks, when life snaps, when everything flips sideways in a second. And here's the truth most people don't want to admit. Life is not asking you politely to wake up. Life is not waiting until you're ready. It will hit you on its terms, not yours. And when it does, autopilot will betray you every time. Living with intention isn't about perfection. It isn't about getting everything right. It's about refusing to go numb. It's about refusing to sleepwalk through your one shot at life. Because here's the reality. Every single day you're building something. You're building habits, patterns, relationships, a future. The only question is, are you building it on purpose or by accident? Think back to my story. The routine, the autopilot, the way it all flipped in a breath. We didn't rise to that moment by chance. We rose to it because we trained for it. We prepared for it. We lived awake enough to move when it mattered. That's what I want for you. Not just when disaster strikes, but in the quiet, in the daily grind, in the moments no one else is watching. So here's the challenge I want to leave you with. Look at your life right now. Not the highlight reel. Not the someday I'll get there version. The real one. The daily one. Where you are on autopilot. Where are you coasting, drifting, surviving, instead of choosing, creating, and living? Name it. Write it down if you have to. And then today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel more ready, today, take one step off autopilot. Maybe that means facing the hard truth you've been avoiding. Maybe it means sitting with discomfort instead of numbing to it. Maybe it means showing up fully present with someone who needs you. Or maybe it's finally choosing to act on the thing you've been putting off for years. Whatever it is, do it on purpose, with intention, with clarity, because every step you take with intention builds a life that can hold up when the storm comes. Don't wait for chaos to wake you up. Don't wait for loss to show you what matters. Decide now. Live awake, live deliberate, live with intention. Because that's how growth happens. That's how strength is built. That's how you become the architect of yourself.